Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be answering all of your most frequently asked questions. You guys have submitted some amazing questions and I can't wait to answer them. But before we sit down and get into that, I just want to say thank you to today's video sponsor, who is Fromental. They've sent me 2 of their bags. This is one of them and I have been obsessed. I've been wearing these bags non-stop for the past month to the gym, Pilates, work, home, going out for lunch, you name it. I think they're such a versatile design. What I love about this one, this is the large drippy tote bag by Fromental. I love the suede finish and it's in my favourite tan colour, which I think is such a good colour for autumn, although I have been wearing it a lot this summer as well. And it's just one of those amazing bags that you can fit so much in. So I'm going to show you what I've got in here. I don't know about you, but whenever I've got a large bag, I can never find my phone. So I really love this feature where you can fit your iPhone into this little pocket. So it's really easy access when you're out and about. Then inside, you will not believe how much I've fitted in here. I've got my iPad. You can fit a laptop as well. I've actually carried my iPad and a laptop in here. Makeup bag, because we're filming. Wallet. A card for my daughter. AirPods. The biggest set of keys you've ever seen. All my family joke that I look like a janitor with these funny keys. That's it, but I also sometimes carry a really large bottle of water. So what I think is great is that you can fit all of those things in and it doesn't look too bulky or stuffed. But equally, if you're not carrying a lot of stuff, it just hangs really nicely. And I think that's because they've used such beautiful materials. You can tell this is really premium, luxurious suede. And then you've got the real leather for the handle and the pocket. Such a great bag, I really love it. Bag number 2 is the Fromental large song bag. This is a really spacious bag, and what I love about it is that it's got this zipped pocket in the middle, so you don't need to worry about anyone taking anything out of your bag. It's really secure, you can fit so much in it. The texture of this leather is so beautiful. It's a really good quality and it's a tumbled leather, so it doesn't scratch easily at all. And it's a very versatile bag. Again, you can wear it multiple ways. My favorite way to wear it is just over the arm, but you can also wear it over the shoulder. So great for work, great for weekends. It's a brilliant bag. I've been wearing them non-stop. So thank you to Fromental for sponsoring today's video. Make sure if you do love these bags or any of the bags in the video that you use our discount code on the screen, and I'll share all the links in the description box. So thank you to all of you who submitted a question via Instagram and on YouTube. We loved reading through all your questions and there was a lot of them. So we're answering the most frequently asked ones and the ones that we thought were really interesting. I divided them into 3 kind of main topic areas. So we've got business, we have design, and then we have personal life. So joining me for the business and the design questions, I have Anthony.
Hello.
He is our head of architectural design. You might remember him from some previous videos.
Yeah, I've been in a few.
You joined us in Amman, didn't you?
Yeah, it was Amman, and then we did the lighting design one.
Lighting design in my home.
And then we did the tour of, can't remember the name of what it's called,
The
London property, yes.
Yeah, so I'm delighted to have Anthony back with me for this video. I've stolen him away from his desk for just half an hour because I think you have such good insights into some of these questions. I'd love to have your input. So let's get started. How do you match radiators, shower screens, and Jessie taps? Well, Jessie is one of our favourite suppliers of sanitary ware. We use them in our bathrooms here in the office. We've used them in countless client projects. I actually didn't know this until I went sourcing, and I just told you this morning.
I know, new information.
But Jessie now have shower screen accessories, so all the hinges, the handles can all be matched, which is such great news because before we went to quite a lot of lengths to match them all, didn't we? It wasn't easy.
It wasn't. Lots of samples that were useless, some samples that were good. Yeah, it was a very laborious process, so it's great to hear that Jessie have those accessories now.
Yeah, and I would say it is really important to match your taps and all your other metal finishes in your bathroom. It's one of my pet hates when they don't match, so it's worth going to those lengths. Well, I have done this unsuccessfully years and years ago before I was an interior designer. And what I didn't realise is it kind of creeps along. So you end up with lots of ruching on your rug. You can use underlay, but I've never seen it done successfully. What do you
I don't have any experience of a successful rug on carpet scenario, so I would advise against it.
One of your questions was how to layer a cream scheme in a bedroom without making it bland. Anthony, any suggestions?
Absolutely. So I would say in order to not make the scheme bland, you're best off starting with find the colour of cream that you want and that you want in your room, and then a little tip. So you can take that to somewhere that has a big paint library, and you'll get the little colour swatch cards, and then just select maybe one or two darkening shades below that. And then try and incorporate that into your scheme. So if you want a cream headboard and a cream wall, go for it. But maybe go for a few tones darker on a bed throw, just to lay the scheme up and to make it, a bit more inviting and a bit more warm, but also not bland. Other ways you can make it not so bland is by getting contrast in your metallic finishes. We love bronze in the studio, don't we? And we think that combines great with cream. So that is another way you can just layer up your bedroom scheme, your cream scheme, shall I say? And
yeah, I think that's really good advice. The only thing I would add to that is I think the most common mistakes I see in neutral schemes, whether it's a bedroom or a living room, is people tend to go for very sort of mid-tones. And like Anthony said, you've really got to get some contrast. Even if you love the idea of an all-cream bedroom, don't be scared, like whether it's bronze finishes or darker woods, or even introduce a small accent colour onto some of the cushions and artwork. Overall, it will still feel very calming, very neutral, but it just adds some layer of interest into it. How to clad a tall wall with marble without trying too hard. If I understand your question correctly, I think I know what you're saying. Sometimes I see these really tall walls, whether it's like a fireplace wall or in a kitchen, and it can look a little bit over the top. I really love sophisticated design, understated design, and I think when it tends to go a little bit tacky is if there's too much heavy veining in the marble, if it's like a backlit onyx, for example. I think if it dominates the space, it's too much. I think when I've seen it done really successfully, it's a more pared back marble, or in a kitchen and bathroom, then you can be a little bit more bold, but in a living room, I would use marble quite carefully so it doesn't become too strong. Key advice for stair runners. Paul, this is a good one for you.
yeah, so stair runners, I would say, first key to a successful stair runner is the gap either side. Now we always go minimum, and that's between your skirting and where you want the runner to start, and also your baluster and where you want the runner to start. So we usually say about 5 centimeters either side minimum, but the wider your staircase is, the wider you can have the gap. We normally increase up to a maximum of about 7.5 centimeters. So that's number one. Number two is material. On a stair runner, we always tend to go for a woven carpet rather than a cut pile, purely because the cut piles tend to move a lot, and if you're walking around with your shoes on, they can feel a little bit sliding under the foot. So you can counteract that by going for a nice woven texture, a bit like the carpet we've got here in our studio. For anyone who's seen the other videos on the channel, you can also look for things like a flat wave or a sisal. They work great as a stair runner as well. Anything for you?
The only thing I would add is I do love a stair rod on a staircase. I think it really adds a nice finish. And if you do that, match the metal finish to your balustrade if you have a metal balustrade. And I would also say, don't feel that you've got to do the same carpet on your staircase, on your runner, as you have for your fitted carpet. As long as it picks out one of the colours that you have in your fitted carpet, I think you can mix and match it. And I do quite like a pattern on a runner as well.
Yes, lovely.
Do you like to use plain or textured fabric on headboards? Personally, I always advise my clients to go for textured because plain does show stains and marks more easily. If you have any product on your hair, that's going to show up. I also just like things that feel very tactile. A headboard's something that you're very close up to, so I think it's nice to have a really beautiful, luxurious texture. We do tend to go for plains with textures on big pieces of upholstery. That was a big sentence. Rather than pattern, but that's not always the case. If it's a guest bedroom and we want to be a bit more playful, or certainly a children's bedroom, we do love to embrace pattern on the headboards, and I can think of quite a few examples that we've done that really successfully, so I'll share some examples of those. How to style glass rectangular coffee tables. I am talking a lot, sorry. I've stolen you from your desk. I want to answer this one.
Yeah,
as
that's
well.
fine. You have it. You take this one. I'll just look pretty in the background.
I will let you answer the next one. I love to use oversized trays and coffee bags because I think glass can feel quite cold, so I want to cover as much of that as possible. And it's quite nice to layer your accessories on top of the coffee table bags or the trays. What do you think?
I agree. I think zoning and styling as well, especially on the larger pieces, you know, you'll find across our portfolio we tend to go for groupings of objects. So you can have your tray in one area, your flowers in another area, and then it just helps spread out the styling, so it's not just cluttered in one corner or in the center. A lot of people go for the middle of the table, and it's and it's nice to spread it out.
Oh, one more thing I'll add. A little plug for our Addison collection. And have some coasters on your glass coffee table because there's nothing worse than putting your glasses straight down. These ones come in this gorgeous little box. It's a great addition to your coffee table. When do we get our inspiration when designing for clients? Anthony, this is your question.
This is my question. I would say the inspiration, it varies greatly from project to project. Now, you know, one sense of it may be an idea a client's had and they just don't know how to translate that. So it's our job to then, you know, try and convey what's in their head. So we'll usually back that up by, you know, either collating imagery, you know, maybe from Pinterest or other sources of the internet. Architecture, you know, buildings is a great place. You can draw a lot of inspiration from buildings through, whether that, you know, like I think back to our project in Oman, one of the rooms that we designed, we actually took inspiration from some of the geometric shapes in the local architecture from Muscat, and that came through in some of the patterns and the cushions, and that was a really effective way of drawing inspiration, and it really helped convey the idea from a client.
Also
Nature, yeah, we get a lot from nature as well, whether it be colours, you know, patterns on leaves, and you can just get your inspiration from anywhere. It's just how you translate that idea into a design, and you'll often find you'll find a way of linking, whether it be, you know, if you took a leaf to a shop, you find a leaf on a cushion, and that be your inspiration. You can do it in a whole manner of ways.
Yeah, there's no right or wrong way to find your inspiration. If you have some existing pieces, you've got a piece of art, you can draw the colours from that. I think it's just start with something you love is the main thing I would advise. The best place to get a reasonable bespoke bedspread made, there is no reasonable bespoke bedspread. That is the honest answer. So much so that I think last year we came out with our own bedspread, which we like a really thin bedspread. And there was a brand that we were using, but they were so expensive, weren't they? It was hard to sort of hand that price over to our client, and we were sort of grimacing as we did it. So we have one with Co's. I'll share an image of it and link it in the description box. But it's the most reasonable bedspread, and it has that really luxurious feel. Anthony, is there ever a place for large family photos on the wall, or do you prefer art?
On walls, I definitely prefer artwork on a wall, and then, you know, we tend to advise that, you know, let your artwork be your interest, because that is what links and grounds your schemes together. And then your family photos, for example, they can be on console tables, on side tables. You can see we've got some frames around on the bookshelves as well. That's a great place to put in your family photos as well. If you really want them on a wall, then we would normally say, you know, don't do it in an area where you may be entertaining guests, and, you know, let it be in an area that's in passing, because you know, as you're moving through the areas, you can appreciate them as you're going to pass them, but not in an area that's got one of your main, you know, focal points of your home in it.
I would add to that, if you are going to do family photos, I prefer them in black and white, and I also really like a big oversized linen mount, which I think really elevates them and makes them look a bit more luxurious. And if your framer can do this, because framing is not cheap, see if they can make the back of the frame so it can be open, so you can update those photos over time. How to make a look, mood and feel, or some of you might think of it as a mood board if you want to design your own home and if you don't necessarily have the budget for the software we use. Anthony, do you have any recommendations?
So, one thing that springs to my mind straight away is print off your images and put them together on your table or wherever it is you work from on a regular basis. Seeing them firsthand with your own eye together will immediately help you assess whether they work together or not. If you do want to go down the software route, you can do it in something as simple and as crude as Microsoft Word. I don't know if we're allowed to plug that.
Yeah, Microsoft Word.
Yeah?
We're not plugging it. This is
No,
not sponsored by
this is not
Microsoft.
sponsored.
PowerPoint's quite good.
PowerPoint's
I'd
a good
say
one.
PowerPoint's less glitchy.
Yeah, definitely. PowerPoint's more geared around bringing images together, and it's a bit more readily available.
Yeah.
And
We
then
use InDesign in our office if any other designers are watching it, which I think is really user friendly. You know I hate technology.
Yeah.
Even I can handle it. So if you are wanting to make them a little bit more professional, InDesign is great.
Yeah, I think that's everything. That's everything I've got in my mind.
Anthony, can you walk us through the process of how we design our custom furniture pieces?
Absolutely. So we'll always start bringing together imagery of whether it be a detail that we've seen somewhere or a concept imagery of, you might see a profile that you like from Pinterest or any source on the internet, or even in reality, if you've got a photo on your phone. We'll always start bringing a loose concept for the piece together, and then we start sketching it up. We'll start hand sketching ideas, and that could be, quite often we're into our marble detailing, and you can see here, we hand sketched this detail with the lighting in the background there, just to check that we were happy with the proportions, and then we drew it up in our CAD software, and then we put that into the annotation sheets, in which we sent on to the manufacturers. But it generally starts with a loose concept, whether it be images, photos, or a sketch, and then we build the picture up and add more detail to it in our software.
There's a lot of different stages to it.
There's a lot.
After we do our design in 10, then the manufacturer will send back their detailed construction drawings, and we have to approve those, review those, make sure we're happy, and then finally it goes into production. If it's for a collection, we'll always do 1 or 2 prototypes. So for example, with our handles, with our Mac Martin, with the mirrors, with our Mac Martin, that whole process was probably about 2.5 years from that initial design concept to when they finally launch. So it takes a long, long time. Okay, so let's talk business. Design course available. Me and Anthony are working very hard on it, aren't we? There's so much more to doing this design course than I realised when I started this process. There are going to be 12 modules, and I'm doing it room by room. So I didn't want to just do an overview of every single room type. So I think the advice that I would give you differs so much room by room. But we'll take you through every single stage of everything that you need to know right from the very beginning to the end. And that process has taken a long time. So my goal and my deadline that I've given myself is I have to launch it by the beginning of December. So I'm going to be very, very busy, but that is the goal.
And me.
We're going to be very busy. We have to do this. I mean, that's it, we have to. We are doing this on top of designing lots of projects, lots of collections. There's so much going on, but we're just all so passionate about it. And I just think it's going to be amazing, because I think there's a real gap of this practical knowledge that when we hire new people in our team, whether they've got degrees or whatever their background is, they might have like 10 years of experience. I think unless you've got that hands-on experience of designing like loads and loads of homes over and over again, you're not going to learn these things. So it's all the knowledge, core knowledge of our entire team. It's not just me that's written it, we're all writing it together, condensed. So that's probably hundreds of years of design experience into this course. And we're trying to make sure that we appeal to not just professional designers, but we're designing this course so that everyone from, whether you're a student at school and you think you want to be an interior designer, whether you are a homeowner and you want to design your own home, or whether you're even in the industry and you just like to understand how we do things, there'll be something for everyone. How do you hear about the course when it's ready? We have launched an email, so I'll share the link in the description box. Again, another thing for us to do, we haven't sent a single email since we launched this, and there's thousands of people out there waiting for our email. So I do actually have a call tomorrow with someone who's going to help me draft the first email, so it should be coming very, very soon. But if you haven't subscribed to our email list, it's completely free. You're not signing up to the course, but we'll be sharing details about the course as soon as it's ready. we'll also be sharing some behind the scenes. We've got loads of exciting things happening. So even if the course isn't for you, still subscribe to that email list because there's going to be lots of interesting things shared. Have I always dreamt of growing a business to this level, or did it just happen naturally? It definitely wasn't something that I thought was going to happen. You know, my plan when I first set up my company back in 2008 was that I was just going to do it for 2 years. I was going to have maybe 3 or 4 projects on my website. Then I was going to move to the country, have kids and retire. Obviously that didn't happen, although I did move to the countryside and have children. I'd say Anthony and Brett, you were a big part of how much it's grown. You know, Brett and Anthony have been working with me, is it 10 or 11 years?
I think it's coming up to 11 years.
11 years. It scares me how much time
I know, yeah, it's gone so fast though.
But, you know, I think I might dig out a throwback picture of when we first
Please don't, I can't bear it.
Because I was going through my phone the other day and I found one that's hilarious. It's us.
I'm going red now just thinking about it.
Us hanging out the back of this van. Do you remember when we hired the van?
Oh God, yes, that one. That one.
In public, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay, let it, if it be, let it be.
Sorry. Cracks me up. Happy memories.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just happened naturally. I think, you know, obviously it's a shame. We've got a great team. Our social media has really helped grow the business, and we're just really lucky seeing where it takes us. I feel like I'm crying now. How do we manage our social media? This is a great question, and I ask myself this often because it's mostly just me that does everything. That's why we don't get very many YouTube videos. I think we're averaging about 1 every 3 weeks. I work with various different freelancers today. I've got Selena Marie, she's amazing. She takes all the photos of me. If you see a photo of me in like a different campaign, that's always Selena, and we've known each other for years, so it's always good fun. On the Instagram front, again, I manage all of that, and I always have done. I have recently had a little bit of help from Nicola, who's in the room with us. Shout out to Nicola. Nicola took over our Instagram. She planned some content with me so that when I was on holiday, I didn't have to post, which was really, really nice, so I could actually switch off. But truth be told, I just love the social media side of things. You know, I've always loved it. I've done it since 2012, and it's such a big part of our business. So I think my advice to you, if you're asking this question as a business owner, is, especially if you're a small business, I think it's really key that someone within the business, whether it's the business owner or someone that's inside the company that understands social media, does that social media, because I think you want that real sort of behind the scenes. It doesn't want to be too contrived. You don't just want to share like end images of your projects or your products. You want to share the processes and the journey of that. And I think when I think about what content I really enjoy, it's, you know, it's when I get to be nosy and see behind the scenes of companies that I'm interested in. So that's what we try and share with our social media. It's not always easy. Some days you have days where you're like, oh, the last thing I feel like doing is going on film, or you're so busy you don't have time to photograph it. But it's just trying to build it into your routine. And realistically, as long as you don't fall into the trap of scrolling through Instagram or TikTok, it takes 5-10 minutes to do a post. I don't schedule anything apart from that one time that Nicola took it over so I could go on holiday. Everything is literally, I think about it, I'm like, oh, what have I not posted for a while? What's going on that's interesting? And I post that. And I think that probably comes across in how it feels quite natural. So one of the questions that came in is that this person is an interior design student and they want to know, is working in a firm underpaid, or is it better than setting up in your own company? So my experience is that I've never worked for another interior designer. I tried really hard to get an internship when I left university, but my degree wasn't in interior design and I had no experience. I emailed every single designer that I admired in London, and I literally offered to be their driver, their PA, whatever they needed for me to do, and I didn't get a single response. And I totally understand that now, because we are inundated, aren't we, with requests for internships. And it's so hard because I have so much empathy and sympathy for people trying to break into the industry. But it is really hard because the number of people applying, there's just not that many places. Obviously, I haven't worked for someone else, so I can't comment on that. But if I was to start again, and I did have the opportunity to work for someone else, I would definitely get some experience working with someone else before you set up on your own, because you learn everything the hard way. And, you know, I've been doing this for 16 years now, but it would have been nice to know how other people navigated certain situations. If that's not an option, or if you already have your own company, the other thing that's really helped me is I have a big network of interior designers who own their own studios, and we socialize together, but we have this WhatsApp group. And when one of us has a problem or a particularly difficult situation, or we need some advice, we put it into that WhatsApp group and we get the insight and knowledge of that pooled group of 10 interior designers. So if you have a group of interior designers that you know, or people that you really click with, try and set up that group, because I think it's really, really good. Like, you all support each other. It's not about competition, it's about helping each other, and you can all grow from each other's experience. How many projects does our firm work on at once? Anthony, you're probably good at answering this one.
Yeah, so what we generally say with that is we always aim to have to take on usually between 3 and 4 projects a year, depending on the scale. Now, bear in mind within that, there'll be 2 or 3 projects also finishing at the same time, and there'll be ones overlapping from the year before. So generally, it's about usually between 6 and 9 projects at once, I would say. And then, for actually, we've also got collections. They're always on a kind of rolling aspect of the business, aren't they?
Yeah.
And so usually about 8 or 9 projects at once.
8 or 9, and like Anthony said, we take on 3 or 4, but it depends on the size. So some projects we do might be 30,000 square feet. That's the equivalent of doing 6 apartments in London. So if that happens, we don't like to stretch ourselves, and we are quite strict because we're a small team. We're less than 14 designers. We don't want to be just taking on work and not keeping those same high standards. So we do cap it, and it's kind of one in, one out scenario. What new products are we launching? Oh my goodness, there is so many. I actually needed to write a list.
So many.
So if any of you have ever gone to Decorex or have heard of Decorex, Decorex is a interior design show, and it's open to the public as well as interior design professionals. It opens, is it the 5th of October? Sunday.
No, 5th. No, because 5th is when we're going to be there installing.
Okay.
Sunday the 6th.
Sunday the 6th of October it opens. I think it might be trade only for the first few days. Have a look on the website. I'll put the link in the description box. So the reason I mentioned Decorex is because basically we're doing a Decorex takeover this year. We've got multiple stands with our brand partners because we are launching a new furniture collection with Loom, and they're going to have a whole stand of their own, and we've got a section for our new collection, which is really exciting. We have a stand purely dedicated to our collection with Fromental. Fromental do beautiful chinoiserie wallpapers, and we've also got an artwork collection with them. Again, I'll link both of those in the description box. Very excitingly, we are launching a new artwork collection with them. So if you're familiar with our previous collection, it's based on the wallpapers that we've created already. So it's mini versions that are framed of, say, for example, the Olive Grove one or the Branches in the Breeze, and they work really, really well. But what I wanted to create with this new artwork collection is very contemporary artwork that would work well layered on top of the chinoiserie designs that we've created with them, or you could put it in, any type of room setting. But I think there's a real gap in the market for affordable but beautiful quality, not prints, real pieces of art. And I'm really, really excited to bring those to the market. So they will be launching at Decorex. We are also launching, now Nicola, this might be a question for you, but we're launching our new bathroom collection with Armac Martin. There's toilet roll holders, bath rails. Do you know when that's launching? Is that launching at Decorex?
It's in progress, but they're confirming a date.
Okay, we did email them today because one of the specific questions that was on the list was when that was launching. So hopefully that will be launching in autumn, and you guys will be the first to hear. But what else we got? Oh, a new collection with Addison rugs. We've got some big round trays. I'll share an image of those. Screens. Yes, we've got our screen collections. If you'd like to see those in person, and our door collection with SWD, they will also be there. I feel like I'm missing something. I'm going to feel really bad if I missed a brand.
No, I'm really taking deep.
Oh yes, thank goodness you remind me. So we also have a very big collection that I've been working on for about 1.5 years with David from Andrew Martin, which is one of our biggest collections we've ever done. We are launching new fabrics, wallpapers, printed wallpapers rather than the hand-painted ones that we do with Fromental, and cushions. And I'm so excited about this collection. It's basically everything that I love and want, but again, we try and bring it in a price point that is as affordable as possible. Obviously, they're uber luxurious items, but we've really brought the price down. Rather than like when we do bespoke cushions, these cushions would cost a fortune. They're going to be much more affordable, as all of our collection with Andrew Martin is. So I'm really excited about that. And then the last one that I'm allowed to mention, I think, for now is vanity units. That's like the bathroom cabinets. The ones that we've got in our bathrooms here are part of that collection. And that is due to launch end of September. So watch this space. We'll be launching it very soon. Where are our new baskets in the design studio from? I will find out from our team where they're from. I think they're from Etsy, so I'll put the link in the description box. Okay, so another question that we had was, if you're a young business and you have a lot of staff that want to work hybrid, is it still worth getting a premises? This is a tricky question. I'll be honest, it took me a long time before I took on the expense of getting a premises. You know, we've been in business for 16 years and this is our first office that we've owned. And I would say a trap that a lot of people fall into is that they feel like they need to have these fancy offices, that clients won't look past it, but actually I don't think clients really care. You know, for a long time our office wasn't impressive at all. We tried to make it as nice as possible, but I would say the most important thing to focus on when you're setting up your own business is hire the best staff you can and put that money into their salaries rather than worrying about a fancy office, because that's what's going to attract clients, that's what's going to build your portfolio, build your business. Also, don't forget, hire the best photographers and videographers that you can, and hire a branding consultant. Again, that's all about building your company, building that brand that's going to bring the business. And then when the time comes, hopefully it will, not too long, then get your fancy premises that makes you feel really good. So this person's dream is to go into interior design, but their training is in consulting. Is it possible? Of course it's possible. You know, we've all had different backgrounds before we came to interior design. And what I would say is, it's never too late. Some of the best designers I know are in their 70s. I don't want to name any names because they probably don't want me to out them, but if you Google, you know, top interior designers in London, there's some women that are incredible, and men that are doing amazing work at an age where most people would think you need to be retired. This is a very long, enduring career. You know, luckily we're not sports people, we're not models. We can do this for the rest of our life. So don't give up on your dream and just pursue with your dream. I think it's 100% worth it.
And it's possible.
Yeah.
Do it.
Which 3D programs, rendering software do we use? Anthony, this is definitely a question for you.
It really is. So we don't tend to render in-house, but in terms of 3D modeling, we tend to use SketchUp. It's a very good, very easy, very quick tool, and you can pick it up extremely easily. You can create the most fantastic 3D models in there. And it's one of those programs as well that it's constantly evolving and it's constantly developing. They've got a new feature on it at the moment. This is me being a little bit of a geek. As I think it's called ambient occlusions, and it just adds a level of ambience to the models that you didn't get in there before. It looked like a boxy 3D model. So I would say SketchUp's a great tool to learn. And I do know that on SketchUp you can, if you do some research, get some rendering add-ins and plugins that link to it, and then you can. It's a trial and error process, and you'll be probably waiting at your computers for about 8 hours for a rendered image because that's how long they take. But you can get the add-ins and you can start rendering from SketchUp as well.
Have you got any images that we could share with the audience of images that we've rendered or 3D models that we've done?
Yeah, well, what about, can we do the Fromental stand?
Yes. So our Fromental stand that we've designed for Decorex, we'll share that with you. This will launch before Decorex, so hopefully we don't get in trouble for that.
I'll check first.
So a lot of you have asked for a good warm white paint that doesn't have yellow undertones and some of our favourite neutrals. Anthony, over to you.
So I would say, so one of our favourite neutrals is Dulux Khaki Mists 6, followed by the Dulux Khaki Mist 6, by the way, is a perfect neutral in the sense that it's warm, it's not yellow, it's not too grey, and generally find it goes with quite a lot. It's a very forgiving colour. If you like other brands, Farrow and Ball, they've got Schoolhouse White, which is a great colour. And there's another one which has just evaded my mind.
Zophony Quarter Harbour Grey. That's quite a nice one.
That's a really good one as
slightly
well.
more grey undertones rather than yellow undertones. But they're kind of our go-tos.
Yeah, they're the staples, I would say.
Yeah, although obviously every paint is very much affected by the light that it's in, so you do always have to test your paints in the room if you want to be 100% sure they're going to work.
Tip as well, sorry to make it longer, but don't just do it on one wall.
Yes.
Do it in the corners of your room, because you'll be amazed at how different they look from one another in a corner.
Yeah. Basically, you're going to end up with patchwork all over your rooms.
Yeah. You might like that.
Do we have designers in-house that handle the entire project? Anthony, did I even introduce you with your job title? I think I did.
Head of Architectural Design.
Head of Architectural Design. So we have Anthony, who's Head of Architectural Design, and Brett, who is Head of FF&E. For those of you who don't know, that means basically furniture. And then I oversee all the projects. Every single project has my involvement in it. It will also have Anthony and Brett's involvement in it. And then we have a senior designer that will be dedicated solely to that project. Depending on the scale of the project, there may be 1 or 2 senior designers. So if it's a very large overseas project, there tends to be 2 designers. And then there'll be a midway or a junior designer, design assistants, procurement. There's a lot of people. I'd say most projects have sort of 5 to 7 people from our team working on them. What to do with radiators when you can't have underfloor heating? Anthony, I think you've got some great tips on this.
First thing you can do, if your radiators are ugly and you don't want to go at the expense of replacing them, is getting yourself a radiator cover. They're first and foremost a great way of just hiding them because they're never the bonniest of things. Another tip you can do as well, if you don't want to go at the expense of a radiator cover, is just painting the radiator colour the same as your wall and letting it just blend in. Those are the 2 main features. If you want as well, you can go for some of these more nicer, fancy looking radiators rather than just the standard kind of rectangle white and wall looking ones. But those are my top tips.
Yeah, I'd add a couple more. I quite like putting a radiator, if I'm planning the room from scratch, I might put the radiator behind one of the sofas, and obviously don't have your sofa butted right up against it, allow enough ventilation, but that's a really good way to hide it. And then my favourite thing that we've ever done with a radiator, this was in a grade 2 listed project where we couldn't put underfloor heating. We took an antique, and this was our most viewed project ever, by the way, it's had 1 million reviews. But we took an antique, not a priceless antique, we found it, I don't know, online somewhere. Yeah. And it was a beautiful chest of drawers that wouldn't have been used otherwise. And we just cut open the back of it, and that had been amended by one of our joiners. They cut some very small slots on the top in the marble, and then that slotted on front of the radiator. And we've also done that with air conditioning units, and it's a great way to sort of hide a radiator and use some antiques in your project as well. You once mentioned an uplighter that you used in your plants and behind furniture. Can you share the link? Anthony, I think this source came from you. Can you remember where it was from?
It did. It was online. I think it might be somewhere like Mr. Resistor, or someone similar to that. They do. It's essentially a freestanding box with a spotlight in the top that you can angle, and they're great for just putting around in the little corners of your room and just creating another level of ambience and lighting you. So we'll find one and we'll put a link in the description for you.
Yeah, I'll label it as uplighter so you know which one it is. So we've come to the end of the business and design section. Anthony, I'd like to say a massive thank you for spending some time with us and giving us your knowledge.
Thanks for having me.
I'm sure all the audience will appreciate your insights. So next we're going to move on to my personal life. I don't think you want to listen to this, Anthony. I'm sure you've got better things to be getting with.
My email is a big mountain up, so thanks for having me, but bye.
So now we are going on to the personal life questions, and the first question I got asked was, what kind of dog am I planning on getting? Well, I would love a dog like Olive here, a miniature dachshund, but also, she's over it, also I had a spaniel for 10 years, a working cocker spaniel, and my heart does belong to spaniels. So me and my son Oscar, who is equally obsessed with dogs, we spend a lot of time talking about this. And I don't know if it exists, but I feel like my perfect dog would be a cross between a miniature dachshund and a working cocker spaniel, which could go very, very wrong, or could go very right. But I think Olive wants to get back to her daddy now, so I'm going to give her back. Where would I love to go on holiday with our children? We're actually going on our dream holiday with the kids this December. We're taking them to Lapland, and Ava is going to be 8, so I feel like it might be her last Christmas that she fully embraces the meaning of Christmas, if you know what I mean. Not wanting to go into too much detail there. So we're spending 3 days, and we're going to go dog sledging, we're going to meet Father Christmas, and we're staying in a little like hut in the middle of a forest. So I think it's going to be really, really magical for the kids, and I'm really looking forward to that. Did I take time off when I had newborns, and how was the sacrifice for me? To be honest, it's all a blur. My children are now 8 and 5. What I can remember is with Ava, I did take more time off and I was working part-time for a while, and that was great. Like, I had such a good experience. With Oscar, I had a really difficult experience the first sort of 6 months because I had medical issues. I got a breast abscess, which was really, really painful, and it came from because I breastfed both the kids. And basically, if you know anything about breastfeed or abscesses or mastitis, I had to have a, what do they call it? Basically, I had to have this like really long trigger warning. This is gross, by the way. Like, fast forward this if you don't like anything that sounds like horrible. But I had to have a big needle put into the abscess and have it like dealt with. And it was so traumatic and painful. And I had to be in hospital on an IV drip for 2 weeks away from Oscar. Couldn't breastfeed him. And then they had to give me drugs to stop the milk to overcome this. So that was really, really traumatic and really upsetting at the time. My hormones like plummeted, and I don't know if I got postnatal depression, but I was definitely a bit depressed for a while. And at the same time as having all that going on, I had a project that finished, and the designer that was on that project needed me. We had a team, but not as big a team as we have now. They needed me to help with that project. So I remember coming back to work. This might have been just before I went into hospital, but I came back to work and I remember doing an installation with Oscar in a pram. I think the reality of running a business when you're a mum is so not glamorous at times. Like, you're juggling so many things, and there's definitely times where I felt like I've made sacrifices with the children, like I've had to miss certain events because I've had to be at work, and vice versa. There's like some events at work or things that I would have liked to have gone to, but I want to be there for my children. So it's just this constant balancing act where you feel like you need to be in 2 places at once. But I would say if I could go back and do it again, I don't know if I would do anything differently. Obviously, that experience with Oscar wasn't ideal, but if you can give yourself time, I would definitely give yourself time. It's not easy when you're the business owner because you always feel like you've got to be there, but you don't get that time back. So definitely take as much time as you can. It takes a long time to recover from having a baby. By the way, before we move on to the next question, this is a little bit off topic, but just in case anyone is watching this that's got a breast abscess or suspected breast abscess, they are so often misdiagnosed and it's really hard to find out where to go, what kind of care to get. After that whole experience that I had, I ended up going to see a breast surgeon, and they were the ones that did that procedure 11 times where I had to have it dealt with. I was so lucky that I managed to go and find that doctor and get the right diagnosis, because I'd gone to my GP and been misdiagnosed loads of times. And this is a really common thing that's happened. My doctor is currently writing a study, and I am part of that study. Like, I'm helping them by being the sort of patient's perspective, so that I can help ensure that anything that they do with their questionnaires is sort of easy to understand for the average person. So I'll put a link into the description box, that if you want to take part in that study and you've had a breast abscess, you can take part of this, and it will help improve care for women in the future or men in the future that have breast abscesses. So really important. If you know anyone, please spread the message and send them that link. How do I manage a big career and balance kids, work and life? I mean, if you listen to my last waffly answer and you're still here, well done, because I'm waffling a lot. But I think the point of this is that there is no magic equation. You're never going to feel like you've got it perfect. I think social media can make it seem like everything's just effortless in other people's lives, and certainly probably my social media, if I didn't realise the reality, I'd think that it was a lot more effortless. But I would just say there is no perfect balance. 1 week you'll feel like you have the perfect balance with your children, but you'll feel like you're messing up at work. The next week you might feel like you're absolutely smashing it at work, but you feel a bit more disconnected from your partner or your children. It's just this ongoing thing, and you're like, hopefully across the period of a year, you'll feel like you get the balance right. But at any one point, you're never going to feel like you've got everything equal. One side will always feel like you're letting them down, and you just need to be as kind to yourself as you can with that. On top of that, also just want to remind you that this is not possible to run a big business without lots of help. and I don't do it all. I have an amazing nanny that's been with us for 5 years, Leanne. She's incredible. I hope she never leaves. If she does, I'm going to go and find a cave and hide in it. She works for us from 8 till 6, Monday to Friday, and I couldn't do this without her. I also have a housekeeper. Again, my house would be an absolute tip without her. And my husband is incredibly hands-on and really helpful. And then I have an amazing team. I don't do everything in our design studio. I don't do every aspect of design. It takes a huge, huge team to create all this. So don't put yourself under pressure. If you're just setting up in your own business and you're thinking, oh my goodness, how can I like do everything? It takes time, and it takes time to build that team, and eventually you'll get there. What is me time and self-care for me? Me time is very rare. But I think it's just taking those little moments that you can. So for example, I love to go for a walk in my lunch break, or when I go to London and I'm going to meetings, I'll try and schedule my day so that I can walk from one meeting to the next. That's one of my favourite things to do, walk through Kensington Gardens, for example. I love that. I also love exercise. I used to hate exercise and see it as punishment. Now I love it. I do Pilates. I've got a Peloton at home. I love playing tennis. I just tried paddle. So just getting activity and getting out in nature. Okay, so this is going to be the last question. And if you stayed on this long, you're in for a treat. Someone asked me, what is the most surprising thing that no one would expect to hear about me? And I was thinking about this question, and the answer is, this is a recent thing, that this summer I've discovered I love doing car boot sales. My daughter Ava really wanted to have her own market store, and she's been asking me for about 18 months. So eventually I caved in and we went to a car boot sale, and I absolutely loved it. I think it's so good for children. She's learned so much about negotiating, selling, you know, the value of money, about recycling. You know, it's so much better for the planet. And I think we feel this pressure as parents to just buy new things the whole time. And actually, my children have got some old toys from the car boot sale, and they love them more than the fancy toys that they've been given for their birthdays. So I think it was a really good thing to take your kids. And from my perspective, I've just discovered this inner market stall holder that I don't even recognise myself, but I just really love it. And I think it's good to do things out of your comfort zone. Until you try new things, you never know what you might love. And a couple of my followers on YouTube have actually spotted me and come up to talk to me and bought a few things from my stall. So I'm not going to tell you where it is, but if you happen to see me at the car boot sale, come and say hi. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've loved filming this with you. I think it's been so nice to have Anthony join me and give his insights. I've really loved sharing this sort of more personal side to my life, and I hope that you've enjoyed it. If you have any questions, pop them in the comments box and I'll try and get back to you. Otherwise, take care, and I'll see you very soon.